I did not expect this film to be as disturbing as it was. But did I enjoy it? I watched Undertone, and I'm gonna go over my spoiler-free thoughts, and then after that, I'll get into my spoiler-filled thoughts, though I only really have one spoiler-filled thought, so that part will be really short.
You shouldn't have called out to her. It's what she wants.
Host of a popular paranormal podcast becomes haunted by terrifying recordings mysteriously sent her way. I was really excited to watch this film, so when it finally started streaming, I wanted to watch it pretty quickly. But after watching it, I have to admit I'm pretty disappointed. I don't think this film's terrible, but I can't say I enjoyed it very much. I definitely respect it more than I enjoy it. So the main problem I have with this film, and this is definitely something that will vary from person to person. I think some people will still enjoy this film, but for me, it's one of the bigger problems. And that problem for me is that nothing that interesting happens. There are some decent moments, but this film is very slow. The pacing is pretty bad in my opinion. And I would say that even the climax was pretty underwhelming. There isn't a whole lot going on visually also. There's a lot of shots that don't really lead to anything. I was also disappointed with the suspense in this film. I think you've done right. This film could have had a lot of suspense, some really scary moments, and some good tension. There are moments in this film where the camera would linger on things and it would amount to nothing. In the first couple of, I would say, fake outs kind of worked for the suspense, but when it would almost always amount to nothing, the fake outs became less effective. At least I think they were fake outs. That's what I thought they were, at least. I also wish this film had more jump scares. I know jump scares aren't everyone's favorite thing, and a lot of people don't seem to care for jump scares, but I like them, especially when they're done well, and I feel like if they had some creative jump scares, this film would have been better. This film really doesn't have many jump scares. I think there's like two. I also wish that I watched this film when it was darker. I wasn't able to watch it when it was that dark. I think if I did, maybe I'd, be more invested in the story. Maybe it'd be a little more atmospheric for me. I was surprised to find out this movie spanned multiple days. I thought this is a film that, takes place in one night, and that's not the case. This film was also much darker than I expected. While nothing that disturbing happens visually, some of the sounds that you hear and some of the things that they talk about in this film are honestly pretty dark. The disturbing thing this film goes over is pretty taboo. I'll talk more about what that is in the spoiler part of this review. I will say I did find some of the decisions the main character made pretty frustrating, and while that's not technically a bad thing, as I think if you or me were in a tough situation, we're probably not going to make the best decisions, but I still found some of the decisions that this character made pretty annoying. I will say auditorily, this film has quite a bit going for it. There are some fairly interesting things going on with the audio. I will say I was a little disappointed when it came to the use of audio. I'm not sure exactly what I expected going into this film. I just felt a little disappointed. That being said, the way a lot of the audio was used in this film was pretty cool. Now I'm going to go into my spoiler thoughts, so big spoiler warning. I don't know how I feel about this film having a lot to do with infants being killed. It's just something I guess I'm more sensitive to, and this film actually doesn't show any infants being killed, but they talk a lot about it and these stories, and you might even hear it at one point. I think you do. I can't tell for sure, but I feel like there was a scene where it sounds like an infant dies or something. I'm not sure. I think if I knew that this film was disturbing, I would have been able to maybe be more prepared for that subject, but I just went in not thinking it was gonna be that disturbing. I thought it was gonna be just kind of spooky. So overall, I'm not the biggest fan of this film. I noticed on Rotten Tomatoes that it has a pretty high critic rating and a pretty low audience score. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think definitely see the typical audience not really enjoying this film and finding it really slow like I did, and the payoff not very well done. And I could definitely see, critics liking this film for its creativity and uniqueness. Though I will say I think this film has some pretty generic elements also. So overall, I didn't enjoy this film that much. I'd love to know your opinion on this film, what your thoughts are on this film. And with that, bye.